And at number 10, Taylor Swift. We all know that Joe Jonas is not an awful person, but he did do an awful thing to Taylor Swift. If you don't know, the pair dated for a few months back in 2008, and it ended very harshly. Then Taylor went on the Ellen show shortly after, and when asked about the split, she said, quote, "When I find that person that's right for me, he'll be wonderful. When I look at that person, I'm not even going to remember the boy who broke up with me over the phone in 27 seconds when I was 18. And everyone knew exactly who she was talking about and labeled Joe Jonas the worst guy ever. I mean, he broke up with her on a 27-second phone call. However, Taylor recently admitted that she regrets what she said on the show and she took things too far. When asked if Taylor had any regrets, she replied that she regretted putting Joe on blast, joking that she was 18 at the time and it was very teenage behavior. And at number 9, Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart exposed the worst date she's ever been on, and apparently the man quickly left the date and did not pay, leaving her to pay the whole bill. Hope he wasn't looking for a second date. On her show Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party, she revealed, quote, "I went to the lounge area at Lee Bernardin with this guy. He had to go somewhere afterward and I had to go somewhere after as well. We each had places to go. He didn't ask me to go with him to the second place. We had cocktails and a little caviar or something. Then he just got up and said he had to run, and he ran right out and didn't pay. And I thought that was extremely rude." Part of me hopes that Martha called him out for what he did on text or something after, because if someone did that to me, they would absolutely be hearing from me later. And at number 8, Kelly Clarkson. While Kelly Clarkson was on the Ellen show, she spilled the tea on her worst dating story. Apparently she went out with a guy that was not much taller than her, and that was all he would talk about the whole night. Even though Kelly didn't really have a problem with it. She said, quote, "He was 5'2" and I'm 5'3. Obviously I went out with you so it didn't bother me." But he proceeded to talk about his height for like a solid hour. Apparently there was a point she knew she would never go out with this guy again, so she left, adding, quote, "And I withstood an hour and then I went to the bathroom and I left. I couldn't take it." And at number 7, Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling shared a really unfortunate dating story that I'm sure we're all familiar with, getting friend-zoned. And even though the guy did nothing wrong, it still hurt. Kaling actually revealed the story in a Reddit AMA. She wrote, quote, "The worst date I've ever been on was with a guy who I was super excited about, really attracted to, and then on the date it became apparent that it wasn't a date. He was just a straight dude who was psyched to have dinner with me in a platonic way. He talked about an actress he really wanted to date and we split the check." Ugh, that's what makes it so much worse, the guy talking about someone else that he was really hoping to date. So sorry for Mindy. And at number 6, Emma Watson. Now this guy is actually awful because he took precious time during a date with Emma Watson to trash talk other people, which just shows what kind of slimeball he must be. Emma was speaking about her worst date stories to The Telegraph and shared, quote, "The worst date I've ever been on was with the guy who told me he couldn't be friends with fat people or anyone who was unattractive. I realized pretty quickly that he was a nutter and I had to get out as quickly as I could." Yeah, that has to be one of the biggest red flags in a person that I have ever seen. Thankfully, Emma did not waste any more of her precious time with him. Now I'm just wondering how he even managed to get a date with her in the first place. Hopefully she doesn't go that route again. At number 5, Tiffany Haddish. Before getting into a relationship with Common, Tiffany Haddish had to endure a lot of bad dates. Apparently she had even planned to go on a date with Drake, but he needed to leave town last minute, so he cancelled and they never went out. And then she went out with another guy and it became the story of her worst date ever. This is probably one of the laziest and slimiest things I've ever heard, but apparently Tiffany Haddish went on a date with a guy and it ended with her doing laundry. The guy said they'd be going to dinner, you know, a classic date night, but it turned out a lot different. She told TMZ about the bad date saying, quote, "I went on a date with a guy to wash his clothes. He said we were going to dinner and we got dinner and then we went to the laundry house and washed his clothes. That's horrible. I'm not a damn maid." I'm not sure what in the world made this guy think he would get a second date after that. In at number 4, Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish had her bad date story when she was only 13, and apparently the guy flat out told her the kissing was not good. Her and the guy went to the movies and she was very excited because she had a big crush on him, but after they finally kissed, things went way downhill. Billie told Howard Stern about the bad date, quote, "He kissed me and then he said, that was not as magical as I thought it would be. He was super rich and his butler, literally his butler, took him home. He left and I was stuck there and no one told me they were going to leave. Dude is hella ugly now." So clearly Billie got the last laugh in the whole situation. I mean, look at her now. And at number 3, Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate easily had one of the most awkward first dates ever because the guy showed up in an insane outfit. While on the Talk Easy with Sam Fragoso podcast, Jenny told her worst date story. Apparently it all started with a blind date, which is really making me lose hope in blind dates altogether. She said, quote, "He comes around the corner inside the restaurant and this dude is dressed in full chainmail. He's got a full authentic knight's costume on, including a floor-length tabard," which I called a tunic, and then he corrected me and was like, "It's actually a tabard." His chainmail was like getting caught on stuff. I'm mortified and I'm also just mad. He's trying my pasta and the chainmail clinking across and stuff. stuff, it's insane. At that point, I would have been asking myself if I was getting punked, because there's no way a serious human shows up to a date like that. Honestly, maybe it was all a joke and she didn't find out until later. Who knows? And at number 2 is Zoe Kravitz. This dating situation turned from bad to pretty good, depending on how you look at it. Apparently once Zoe Kravitz went on a date and ended up owning his tortoise afterwards. Let me explain. They went on the first date, it was great, and he was talking about how he just got a turtle. The next day he was going out of town and needed someone to watch the turtle, and since nobody else was available to watch it, Zoe's roommate convinced her to watch this turtle. Apparently he dropped off the turtle in a bag at her door, and when she looked inside it, it was not a small turtle like she thought, rather a massive 30-pound tortoise. After the guy had been gone for a week, she asked him when he was coming back, and apparently his trip had been extended and he was going to be gone for a whole month. By the time he got back into town, it had been a month and they went on a date to catch up. When she went back to his place, she realized it wasn't a good place for a huge tortoise, so she decided to keep the tortoise. Months later, she donated it to a turtle sanctuary. And finally, number 1, Tori Spelling. Tori revealed on her blog a date so bad that she spent the end of it throwing up in the kitchen of a restaurant. Back when she was a huge star working on Beverly Hills 90210, she went on a horrible first date she will never forget. She said an up-and-coming actor took her on a date to one of the hottest restaurants in town, and instead of getting dinner, he only ordered them drinks all night. Not sure if he was trying to get her wasted or was too cheap to just pay for the food. Spelling wrote, quote, "I then selfishly prayed for breadsticks that would never come. He ordered us both rum and cokes. Oh no, I was a wine girl. I didn't usually drink hard alcohol, but I had to act cool, so I went with it. At one point she got up to go to the bathroom, but she stumbled into the kitchen instead, where she then threw up into a saucepan." She added, quote, "A waiter rushed over with a massive copper saucepan where I proceeded to vomit the 4 rum and cokes and the Cliff Bar I had at 11 a.m. into it. It was Donna Martin prom night all over again. I was mortified." That really seems mortifying, unfortunately.
Starting off this countdown, we have Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik. The history between these two is wild. They've been dating on and off for years. They started dating late 2015. They called it quits in March of 2018. 2 months later, they were spotted together again. In January of 2019, they announced that they broke up again. Zayn said that he had a lot of issues that Gigi just couldn't help him get through. A year later, it was announced that they were back together, and then they gave birth to their first child, Kai. A little while later, there was an incident between Zayn and Gigi's mom, Yolanda. She claims that he grabbed and shoved her into a dresser during a fight. She also claims that he yelled a number of profanities at her. She also said that Malik reportedly would yell at Gigi a number of times over the phone when he wasn't in the US. One thing he said on the phone to her was, I quote, "Strap on some effing balls and defend your partner against your effing mother in my house." Obviously, due to all this and more, Yolanda does not want Zayn in Gigi's life, let alone near Kai. So this whole thing is the definition of messy. In our 9th spot, we have Grimes and Elon Musk. After being together for 3 years, the pair called it quits in September of 2021. Apparently, this happened due to the fact that he was always traveling for his work at SpaceX and Tesla, whereas Grimes mainly works in LA. But apparently, for quite some time after their separation, Grimes and their baby were still living with Elon Musk. The two maintained that they were semi-separated but remained on good terms, which I don't think was always the case. Later, Grimes revealed that the two had gotten into an argument over their baby's name and fought days before she went into labor. Then in July, Musk tweeted out saying that pronouns suck, and Grimes did not like this at all. She replied, and I quote, "I love you, but please turn off your phone and give me a dial." She continued on saying, "I cannot support hate. Please stop this. I know this isn't your heart." She quickly deleted this reply, and Musk unfollowed her the next day. Moving on to number 8, we have Addison Rae and Bryce Hall. TikTok stars Addison Rae and Bryce Hall called it quits in March 2021. The pair began their romance in November of 2020. It wasn't long for the two to call it quits after Bryce Hall was suspected of cheating on Addison, although Bryce denied any of the claims. But this eventually led to the pair unfollowing each other on Instagram. Despite Bryce claiming that all the cheating allegations were false, he said that it drastically impacted their relationship. He said, and I quote, "I'll be honest, I broke up with her because I was completely stressed out with it all. I paid so much in lawyer fees to get all this bullshit off my plate." And even though Addison found a way to trust him again, it still put a lot of strain on their relationship. In our 7th spot, we have Tana Mongeau and Mod Sun. Seems like Tana Mongeau broke girl code after going after her ex girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, Mod's son. It's confusing, I know. She dated Bella Thorne, who dated Mod's son previously, and apparently they were in like a polyamorous relationship. I don't really know. It's confusing. In 2019, Bella took to Twitter accusing Tana of breaking girl code. She never revealed what she did, but it seems like she was upset about Tana and Mod's son dating. They kind of had a thing for a while, but stayed apart to avoid drama. Then Tana went on tour with Mod's son just before the pandemic started. Shortly after, the two went to LA and quarantined together. Anyways, in August of 2021, in a podcast, Tana revealed why the pair broke up. And it wasn't because of the Bella drama. It was because of Tana's OnlyFans. In the podcast, she said, and I quote, "The literal, actual reason we broke up, we were doing perfectly fine as a couple, literally perfectly fine. And then I wanted to start an OnlyFans, and he wasn't. He was not down for it. That was sincerely the reason. I am not shaming him for this because I think obviously, like, let's say I were to talk to him about it in an hour, let's say we sit down, I think he would have seen what it is and what it's become, and become more accepting. But he was very much kind of, you're gonna become a star." And I was like, you've dated literal stars. So, yikes, that's all I gotta say to that one, yikes. In our sixth spot today, we have Aaron Carter and Melanie Martin. This is another very rocky relationship. The pair started dating in January of 2020, and it's been messy ever since. A week after welcoming their first child together, Aaron announced that they had split. In a tweet, he said, "Due to personal reasons, Melanie Martin and I have decided to go our separate ways." He continued on saying, and I quote, "There has been a very big lie, and my sister communicating with my ex-fiance ruined everything, considering she knew what Angel tried to do to me in court. Thanks, Angel, you ruined my family." So apparently Melanie was in talks with his estranged twin sister, Angel Carter, and he was not too happy about that. In another tweet, he said, and I quote, "I've never felt more devastated and betrayed and lied to in my entire life. This is such a horrible situation considering Prince doesn't deserve any of this, and now it's my job to just be a single father, and that's what's gonna happen." Not only that, but Carter posted on Instagram saying that he was trapped inside of his bedroom because Melanie wouldn't let him leave his house. In fact, because of everything that was going down, Child Protective Services actually showed up at their house. And of course, Carter had to go live on Instagram when they did. But then apparently a week later, the pair were back together, so I honestly don't know anymore. Are they still together? Are they broken up again? I don't know. We are now at our fifth and halfway mark with Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson. Since 2016, Khloe and Tristan have been dating on and off. On June 21st of 2021, the pair called it off again. Now, many people would agree that their relationship isn't the best, and that's because Tristan has cheated on Khloe a number of times. Khloe even said that she has felt betrayed by him, but still continues to go back to him. And just this year, it was revealed that Tristan is the father to a third child. He was dating Khloe at the time that his son was conceived. Like, come on, Khloe, you deserve so much better. In our fourth spot, we have John Mulaney and Anna Marie Tendler. After 6 years of marriage together, the couple announced on May 10th that they have split up. John's spokesperson said, and I quote, "John will not have any further comment as he continues to focus on his recovery and getting back to work." Meanwhile, Anna said, and I quote, "I am heartbroken that John has decided to end our marriage. I wish him support and success as he continues his recovery." So it was John who decided to file for divorce. Later, it was revealed that the pair was going through a rough patch, while also experiencing irreconcilable differences in their marriage. Just months later, John got together with Olivia Munn. Fans were shocked at how fast he moved on. And only months into their new relationship, they announced that they were expecting their first child, which was shocking. Not only due to the fact how fast it all happened, but also because Mulaney has also made it clear that he didn't want kids. Moving on to number 3, we have Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo and A-Rod first met in 1999 when Alex was still playing baseball. Then again at a Yankees game in 2005, but at the time they were both married to other people. Eventually though, things fell into place and the pair began dating in 2017. 2 years later, in 2019, they got engaged. But in March of 2021, the pair split. According to J-Lo's friend that talked about their split, she said, and I quote, "J-Lo insisted on it. There are too many issues that are unresolved. She has been pretty miserable and didn't think it was in her best interest to stay with Alex. Then, only months later, rumors swirled about J-Lo and Ben Affleck getting back together. And now it's official. They are. Hashtag Bennifer for life. In our second spot, we have Shia Labeouf and Margaret Qualley. This pair started dating after starring in a music video together, Love Me Like You Hate Me. However, in January of 2021, the pair split after Shia got into legal troubles with his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs. They split just weeks after his ex filed a lawsuit against him. She accused him of sexual and emotional distress. Shia denied all the allegations, but Margaret did not want to be with a man accused of such. And in our number one spot today, we have Kim and Kanye. Of course, they had to make it to number one on today's list because everything going on between them is wild. On January 5th, 2021, news broke that Kim and Kanye were ending their marriage, and on February 19th, 2021, Kim officially filed for divorce. The two have 4 children together, and that right now is causing a lot of drama. Apparently, Kim was keeping the kids away from Kanye. Kim wants full custody, but obviously Kanye wants joint custody. Kim says that Kanye is unstable, Kanye says that Kim's unstable. It's just really messy. And now it's even worse when you throw Pete Davidson into the mix. That's just adding more fuel to the fire. On June 10th, 2021, during the Keeping Up with the Kardashians season finale, Kim said, and I quote, "After turning 40 this year, I realized, no, I don't want a husband that lives in a completely different state. To me, I thought, oh my God, that's when we're getting along the best. But then, that is sad to me, and that's not what I want." Yikes, that's a hard thing to admit. And I feel like their situation is going to just keep getting messier before it gets better.
At number 10, Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. Before Angelina took over Hollywood, Bennifer was a thing. Actually, I don't know if they had a ship name, but if not, I just made one. You're welcome. Jennifer and Brad's romance story started in the 90s, meeting for the first time in 94, but going on their first date in 98. After 2 years of dating, the wedding of the year took place in 2000 on a bluff in Malibu because nothing says romance and everlasting love like standing on a cliff. Things were okay until Angelina came into the picture after she and Brad met while working on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Fast forward to 2005 and Bennifer was no more. They filed for divorce, making room for Brangelina. It was a whirlwind breakup because of the cheating scandals, as Angie became the other woman of sorts, and even as things died down over the years, tabloids would bring this drama up from time to time, almost making it seem as though things aren't exactly over for this unfortunate love triangle. It seems as though Brad and Jen have reunited in 2020 as they are both now single, but I don't know if you can really call it a comeback from that heavily publicized breakup. At number 9, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. 2013 was a rough time for Twilight fans. Not only were they still heartbroken and mourning the death of their beloved vampiric saga, but they were also mourning the death of their OTPs, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. Since the beginning of the Twilight franchise, fans were obsessed with Kristen and Rob's relationship, wishing that they would take their on-screen love into the real world. For years, the actors had shut down rumors that they were dating until 2011 when they finally confirmed that they were together. Fans were ecstatic and soon came speculations that a proposal was soon to come, but unfortunately that moment never came. In 2013, while working on the film Snow White and the Huntsman, Kristen was caught cheating on Rob with the film's director, Rupert Sanders. Paparazzi had speculated that something was going on between them for a while, and so they finally got confirmations of this affair when the two were caught getting cozy together. When news of this scandal broke, it got crazy, and soon we saw statements from Rupert's wife, as well as news that Robert and Kristen had broken up officially. This ended with Kristen being labeled a homewrecker, and a lot of people still hate her for it. Rob's heartbreak was heavily publicized, and most people took his side, but really, I think their whole relationship was just a publicity stunt, and they needed a wild way to end it. But what do you guys think? At number 8, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. By now, everyone and their mothers know about Johnny and Amber. Their relationship was highly publicized last year following their trial, but their initial breakup was also a messy ordeal, even though it happened nearly 5 years ago. Johnny and Amber first filed for divorce in 2016, but was finally finalized in 2017. Their divorce proceedings were quite the scandal, as Amber made the accusation that Johnny had been towards her, though now we all know that that was a big ol' ball of BS. In their divorce settlement, Amber was awarded $7 million to be paid by Johnny, and Amber claimed that she would be donating the money to 2 charities, which also turned out to be a lie. And they went their separate ways as Johnny kept their properties and cars. The biggest story to come out of this breakup was the bombshell of Johnny's treatment of his wife. Johnny lost a lot of work because of her claims, and his name was pretty much ruined because of it. Fast forward to 2020, and the drama continues, making this one of the messiest breakups ever. At number 7, Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris. Now obviously we couldn't make a list talking about the messiest breakups without including Taylor Swift. I mean, she's built her entire career on breakup songs, and you obviously can't have the breakup song without the breakup. Arguably, one of Taylor's messiest breakups was with DJ Calvin Harris, and though it didn't end up with a lot of upfront hostility, there was a lot of shade, a lot of jealousy, and a lot of drama. After a brief relationship, Taylor and Calvin broke up in 2016, and when news broke of their split, it was speculated that they broke up because their spark had fizzled out and that things just weren't working out for them. No hostility and no drama, they just fell out of love. Things were fine until Taylor went public with her new relationship with Marvel actor Tom Hiddleston a little over 2 weeks after breaking up with Calvin. This started to stir drama because some fans, as well as some news sources, believed that Taylor was only dating Tom to make Calvin jealous. Tom and Taylor was seen traveling together and meeting Taylor's parents. Meanwhile, Calvin was being bombarded by paparazzi asking about his take on this new relationship. Things escalated into the music world as reports came out involving Rihanna into Taylor and Calvin's relationship troubles, and Calvin even alleged that Taylor was still texting him weeks after they were over. This breakup was unnecessarily messy, but it made for some good music content for Taylor. At number 6, Zayn Malik and Perrie Edwards. Another complicated relationship here, this time with former One Direction member Zayn Malik and Lil Mix member Perrie Edwards. After meeting in 2011, dating in 2012, and getting engaged in 2013, Zayn and Perrie's perfect world came crumbling down in 2015 after a dramatic and messy public breakup. When news broke of their split, fans just had to know why. These two were loved by so many fans, and for them to suddenly call it quits, people wanted to know what was going on. It was alleged that Zayn broke up with Perrie over text, but I don't know if that was really true or not. About a week after initial reports of their split, fans learned that the couple's home was put on the market, and that apparently Zayn had asked Perrie to move out of their house shortly after their breakup. Perrie was having a hard time with the sudden split, even breaking down in tears on stage at one of her girl group's concerts. Meanwhile, news outlets were reporting on Zayn's parties at his Bel Air mansion. The media as well as fans were divided in choosing sides. Perrie was being shown as the blindsided and broken one, while Zayn was being seen as aloof and cold. Not too long after the breakup, Zayn was seen hanging around model Gigi Hadid, and it was thought that Zayn had left Perrie for Gigi. Eventually, things sort of died down between Perrie and Zayn, with the two subtly shading each other every once in a while. At number 5, Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. Miley and Liam's relationship was certainly complicated. They were on and off for 10 years before ending things in 2019, and even then, their divorce was messy. Miley and Liam got married in December 2018, but after 8 months of marriage, they confirmed their split and filed for divorce. What made things messy was Miley's unexpected and sudden relationship with Caitlyn Carter. Miley and Caitlyn took a trip together after their respective relationships had ended and entered into a new romantic relationship with each other. A lot of people speculated that Miley had cheated on Liam with Caitlyn and that it was the reason why she left him, but Miley denied those allegations. Liam and Caitlyn's ex Brody Jenner were seen shading their exes for moving on like this, but eventually things cooled off. Miley and Liam's divorce was finalized in January 2020, and apparently it was a very hard time for Miley, as she referred to the divorce as death because it was so big and so public. At number 4, Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. This is another one of those relationships that are just hard to map out because they're so all over the place and complicated. Much like Miley and Liam, Selena and Justin were on and off throughout the years, and so their breakup was just as messy because it spanned over a long time. It's almost as though they broke up in stages before finally calling it quits for good. Really, there's no official ending to their relationship because things were always up in the air. They would break up, and then the possibility of them getting back together was always there. Even when the two of them got into new relationships, things would always somehow come back to the two of them. Justin allegedly got into a fight with one of Selena's boyfriends because he still had feelings for her, and Selena would always be asked about Justin even if they weren't together. The time they spent in the news between relationships pretty much serves as their big messy breakup because, like I said before, it spanned for such a long time, it's like it was broken into phases like the MCU. I guess things officially ended for Angelina when Justin married Hailey Baldwin, and let's hope it stays that way because no one needs that toxic energy again. At number 3, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt doesn't seem to have much luck with his relationships because he has another messy breakup, but this time with Angelina Jolie. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Brad and Angelina met while Brad was still married to Jennifer Aniston, and Angie sort of replaced Jen. Though there was initially some bad blood, things died down and Brangelina was born. Brad and Angie spent 10 years together, adopting a bunch of children and living a seemingly picture-perfect Hollywood life. The two got married in 2014, but just 2 years into their marriage, they got divorced. This breakup was intense and messy, and entertainment news sources were all over this story. Soon, cheating rumors started circulating, and later the matter of the children's custody fanned the flame. During their divorce proceedings, Brad's parenting came into question as allegations were made against him that questioned their kids' situation in Brad's care. Apparently, news came out about Angie's reason for ending their decade-long relationship with Brad, citing that he had gotten into a fight with their oldest child, Maddox, which prompted Angie to reevaluate their relationship. It was tumultuous and messy, but it seems as though they're both living their lives safely and separately at this time. At number 2, Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande. Ariana and Pete's relationship took people by surprise. It was short and intense, and the breakup was messy too. The two started dating in May of 2018, and by late June, they were engaged. They fell for each other so quickly, moving in together and planning their lives together as well. But things ended as quickly as they began, and by October, they were done. After getting tattoos dedicated to each other, they were quickly covered up, and soon the shade began. Shortly after the news of their breakup was broadcast, Pete poked fun at his failed relationship in a comedy set, and Ariana then moved on to subtweeting her ex for shading her. And she even included a reference to their relationship in her song Thank You Next. There was some back and forth shading and dissing each other in more jokes and music, but that all seems to be over now. Ariana is now engaged to someone else, and everyone seems to be moving on now. And finally, at number 1, Khloe and Tristan's relationship absolutely exploded in the media because of cheating and backstabbing and just so much drama. Basically, this whole ordeal revolved around Khloe, Tristan, and Kylie Jenner's BFF, Jordyn Woods. Tristan cheated on Khloe multiple times during her pregnancy, including a few times with Jordyn Woods, who had been a family friend for years. When news of Tristan's infidelity broke, the internet went nuts, and so did the Kardashian Jenner family. Khloe and Tristan ended up breaking up, and the family also broke up with Jordyn after she backstabbed the family. Kylie weighed in on this scandal, saying how heartbroken she was to find out that her best friend betrayed her like that. The breakup was also talked about on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where Khloe's sisters, Kim and Kourtney, came to her side and seriously wanted to fight Tristan. Their relationship has been rocky ever since, as Khloe only keeps him in her life for her daughter's sake.